Of the first dawn, morning has broken like the first morning. Hello! A little quick one. This one's called The Devil's Advocate. All right. You can make of it what you will. But when you look around at what's going on in the world right now, you might go, this is interesting conversations. So, it's Saturday morning. I'm coming very close to the end of my 90-day Facebook live stream ban. Unbelievable. It's gone really quick. Why has it gone quick? Because I couldn't give a rat's fart. I just couldn't. Let's wait for a few of you lovelies to pop on. I know it's early. It's early. It's Saturday morning, peeps, isn't it? It is. I know. Oh, hello. My mic's falling down. Let's just put him where he needs to go. That's it. Lovely to see you all when you can come in. Here we go. We're steaming in now. Donna Proctor. Hello, sweetheart. Jacqueline Jones. Hello, darling. Shirley Farrell. Hello, Shirls. Lovely to see you. Sure, it'd be nice to have a profile picture up, sweetheart, maybe. Lauren. Hello, darling. Right, listen. You know, right? Listen. You know in your heart of heart that there's a battle going on right now, yeah, between good and evil. Okay, you should do. I shared a post this morning on Facebook about two kids that were abused in a case round near a place called Hampstead in this country, and I put a post up this morning and said most won't watch because most don't care. And that's the dichotomy in this country, is people don't care. You can give them information, but they don't care. It don't affect their lives. And I kind of understand that, but it's a dangerous game to play. It's like a Russian roulette. Now, there's a chap yesterday. I could only see his hands in this video. He had dark skin, so he was either Indian or of Jamaican or something like that. Personally, from his skin, I think he might have been sort of a Sikh or something, especially from the name that he's got on his profile. So anyway, he's got a nice bit of property around him with big gates, and all of a sudden the police come piling onto his land. And after a very calm altercation, the police retracted and redacted and moved off the land. But it was the guy himself was very, very articulate, right? Very, very articulate. But the police, when this guy stood on his rights and he knew his rights, and he told them that he was the land owner, and they retracted, they hurled so much abuse at him. And in point of fact, they said, well, we hope you never need the police. And we hope that we probably won't never come out to your property again if you call us. Now, I would have had a big sigh of relief at that point and thought, thank farts for that. They're never, ever going to come in intercourse with me again. And what we've got is we've got this state party seems to love interfering with us in our private capacity, right? They seem to love coming into our homes, finding out what our kids are doing, having social services involved. To me, it's a genocide, right? And it's a planned trespass, and it is a genocide. Now, when all these agencies and that were formed, they were there to work for us, to protect us, to protect the liberties and property of men. That was it, right? And now it's moved on a bit, but it was the hate that these policemen, there was two in plain clothes with weapons of war and mass destruction on their belt, and there was about 4 in uniform, and they said they weren't moving, but they all trotted off after they could see that this guy was very adamant and knew who he was and knew his rights, and they tried to belittle him and pick a spoil with him, and he wouldn't fight back. He wouldn't rise to their occasion, which is fantastic. Okay. But it's the level of hate that the police have for us now. You don't see that in the fire brigade. You don't see that really in the NHS or the AA or the RAC. All my intercoursing over the years, and I've done lots of intercoursing, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, with the RAC, the AA, the ambulance service, the fire service. I tell you, I've always had such a crack. Now, in my village a few years ago, the local post office caught fire, and you can research this online. I live in a village called Staplehurst in Kent, and it's a beautiful quintessential place. It's a bit parlarking where I live. It's a bit darling buds and mate, and we love it, and we say kushti all the time. Kushti. And the post office caught fire. And I'll never forget driving past and seeing the fire brigade outside the Spar shop with there was tables outside the Spar shop, and there was big kettles of tea and cakes and biscuits, and the fire brigade are all there having the crack. They put the fire out, and the people were just, I love the fire brigade. Mate, listen, they are a bastion of hope left in this country. And we've been seeing in France, their firefighters have been fighting handcuffs, fisticuffs with their police force, their gendarmeries. They've been having it Pete and Tom. So you've got two public bodies fighting against each other. And I think the fire brigade with their fire hydrants have been having the upper hand. It's been quite funny. So the fire brigade in this country, I love. I would never fear them coming around my house to put it out, get the missus out the bedroom, you know. So I love that. And I quite admire the doctors. Many of you might question that. I've always got on particularly well with the doctors. Very rarely do I go. But when I do, we have a decent relationship because I set the benchmark straight away and I let them know who is what, and that is going down. So, but the police, the ones for me that have got out, and they actually hate us. Now, they seem to have claimed to own everything. They seem to claim to own the body, the land, the houses, the kids, the cars. This the master race. You've now got the master race. So anyway, this video today, I've entitled The Devil's Advocate, because I'm going to play you a bit of the film. Now, I did an interview a couple of nights ago on wakeupuk.net, and I do a slot on there every 9 o'clock on a Thursday night till 10:15. And sometimes when I disappear, the show goes on for, well, one of them's done 4.5 hours, which must have gone on to about 1 or 2 in the morning. I haven't got the time or the energy for that. I'm a little short burst sprinter, you know, and that's how I roll. Anyway, this guy, AJ, who's a Sikh, lives in Hollywood, told me that he got invited to all these parties years ago, and they tried to get him in the clique and get him to do things that his soul weren't happy with, and he pulled away from the masonry. He's a very high-ranking mason, right? And he's a really nice geezer, but he's pulled away from it. He's not left. He said you can never leave once you sign up, but you can pull away and distance yourself. And that's what he's done. And he's seen so much stuff, honestly. And his YouTube channel is Illuminati Exposed. And, mate, you're going to get... He's like a breath of fresh air. And he said to me the other night, he said, Dave Witchett, he said, I'd die for you. He said, I would die for you. He said, because of your spirit and your energy. And it really touched me, and it got me quite emotional that a brother around in Hollywood would say something like that about me. And that's not me being egotistical, because I don't have an ego. I leave it at the door. I just love my country, and I love the people that inherit it. Now, I do truly believe that the police hate us. I truly believe that they consider to own everything. But as was demonstrated by this guy, clearly that's not the case. And when you know your rights, and you are right, and that's what knowing your rights is all about, you can dispel this enemy, this dark forces, and they are a dark force. And I'm going to play you a clip from The Devil's Advocate, okay? And I'm hoping that this stream don't get cut. It's only 1 minute and 52 long. I'm going to play it in a couple of sections and pause it, but I do want you to see all of it. And The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino is a really, really decent film. But what you're going to see in this clip that I'm going to play you, where can we listen to your radio show? It's wakeupuk, all one word, .net, and it's also on YouTube. And just Google wakeupuk.net, and you'll see the website pop up, and you can join for free. It's great, and the community's growing all the time. We've got Anne-Marie Walters, I think she's an MP or something, and I'm hoping I'm going to get on Wednesday night and give her a bit of a grilling and find out exactly what she's all about. And yeah, there you go. So in this clip, The Devil's Advocate, which I'm going to play you, he says in there, the 20th century was all mine, Kevin. And I tell you what, when you listen to it, it don't put chills down my spine, because people like me are here to kick the darkness. That's what we're here for. We're here to end it and bring in 1,000 years of peace. And that's, I truly believe that we're going to go into that. And we are going into 1,000 years of peace. And we're seeing the dark forces show their hands, and they're being shown up because so many people now are challenging who they are, where they get their authority from. And we want to change the system. We do. We want to change it. We'll bring it back to the light, right? And it needs to happen. Trevor, hello, sweetheart. Karen Campbell, mate, I'll tell you what, right? Every time I see your profile picture, I'm just like, oh my, I just love. Can we all have a round of applause for Karen Campbell? Her profile picture is just, look, how beautiful is that? It looks like me when I first get up in the morning. That's how I look. It's beautiful, isn't it? The old orangutan. What a beautiful animal they are. I watched that video, but my friends are so sensitive, they get so upset, but they need to face it and wake out. It's a bit like the German people. When people like my Uncle Peter went and repatriated the concentration camps in Germany. Now, my Uncle Peter was in the services, and he was of an age where he joined it all at the end of the war, and he was basically there for the cleanup operations and stuff. So he took his group of men in to start helping clearing up all these concentration camps. And because it was so depressing, the things that they had to witness and had to do, he used to take them out most nights in the local wherever. And on the way back one night, he got stopped by some high-ranking commander in the British Army who give him a stripping off about taking these men out and getting them drunk, that my Uncle Peter actually beat this guy up and had to have a military court-martial and spent a little bit of time in military prison. My Uncle Peter did, because he smashed this colonel or whoever it was about, and he didn't realise how down and depressing these men had got after what they'd seen. But the German people were paraded round these concentration camps, and they all said, we didn't know what was going on, and that was baloney, because you could probably have smelt that and seen them smoke towers from miles around. But they were made to clean up their own mess. But they back then couldn't believe or would not accept that these things had been going on. And we're in no sort of a different situation than that right now. So without further ado, I'm going to get up this clip of The Devil's Advocate. Look at me listening to a bit of Thin Lizzy, eh? So just bear with me, and I'm going to play this in a couple of sections, because YouTube can get a little bit sensitive, okay? Right, I'm just going to get this started up. I'm just going to silence that a second, because we get ads, and then we're going to go to the full screen, and I'm going to talk you through this as we go. And you look, listen, guys, you can have all your own beliefs, etc. And you'll hear Al Pacino in this talking about free will, okay? And nothing more powerful than that. Right, so let's go back to here. I'm just going to go here. That might be too loud, so we'll go up in increments. So you should, let me just get my screen up on it. I want to know that you can see everything that I can see before we get dug into this. And this might bring a little bit of relevance to you, ladies and gentlemen. All my stuff is done in light-hearted entertainment. This is for entertainment purposes only. You make your own minds up about where you're going in your own lives, all right? Because that's the free will that you was given. And free will is a bit of a bitch at times, right? And you'll hear him say that in this thing. It's a bit of a bugger, free will. But just listen to this. This is class. Right, okay, so we've got 14 in the chat room. It is early Saturday morning. This will be obviously going up, and people can view this as a little bit later on. This is called The Devil's Advocate. I watched that video, but okay. So right, so this is Al Pacino's speech, all about God.
Let me give you a little inside information about God. God likes to watch. He's a prankster. Think about it. He gives man instincts. He gives you this extraordinary gift, and then what does he do? I swear, for his own amusement, his own private cosmic gag reel, he sets the rules in opposition. It's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow. And while you're jumping from one foot to the next, what is he doing? He's laughing his sick fucking ass off. He's a tight ass. He's a sadist. He's an absentee landlord. What?
Check this out. I tell you, people, this is powerful stuff, right? This is powerful stuff. This is Al Pacino, obviously playing the devil, is trying to justify and bring his son, Keanu Reeves, over to the darkness, and he's giving it all the stage show. Remember that the devil is a massive deceiver, and whether you like it or not, this is his kingdom. This is where he was cast to. But anyway, it is what it is. You need to, if you want to understand who owns this and owns this kingdom that we live in, this dimension, that's all in the Holy Bible. That is very, very apparent in there. So I've just paused that a second so we don't get cut off from the speech. But just carry on and listen to this.
Worship that? Never.
Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Is that it?
Why not? I'm here on the ground with my nose in it since the whole thing began.
There you go. I'm in it with my nose in it since this whole thing began. Oh my word.
I've nurtured every sensation man has been inspired to have.
There you go.
I cared about what he wanted and I never judged him. Why? Because I never rejected him. In spite of all his imperfections, I'm a fan of man. I'm a humanist. Maybe the last humanist. Who?
Isn't it, eh?
In their right mind, Kevin, could possibly deny the 20th century was entirely mine. All
Who can deny in their right mind that the 20th century was all mine, eh?
of it, Kevin. All of it. Mine. I'm peeking you. It's my time now.
It's my time now, Kevin. So, there you go. Hollywood place all this stuff up. They serve it up on an offering. It's quite sad, really. But so this is why we sort of all wonder, we pick and scratch at why things happen. And we've all been not delusional, but we've not paid attention. And there's certain things that go on with regards to when we intercourse with a system that we don't understand the workings of it. We don't understand how it works, where it derives this from. It's a bit like a pilot in an aeroplane. A pilot sits in a cockpit, confident that he can get that 747 from London Heathrow to Barcelona because he knows and he's been taught how to fly that plane. He knows when to press the pedals. He knows when to do the joystick. He knows when to rev the engines up and to cool the engines down and to drop the flaps. He knows all these things because he's been taught. And we were never taught about this world we live in and the system that operates around us. And now I've seen many people have their kids taken from them, have their homes taken, have their cars taken, and they all stand there and do this. They're all, you can see this look of perplexity on their face. And that look of perplexity is, how did that just happen? None of them can figure it out. No one can figure out the system of control. No one can figure out how these people that you've never met, you've never sat around a dinner table with and had a meal or a drink or got to know, how they can have such command and authority over you. Well, it is a beast system. It is an absolute beast system. Okay. Now, we're in an enlightened time period, ladies and gentlemen. We're in a time period where we now know, we're seeing how the system operates. We're learning how the control mechanisms come in, the levers. We understand where the fraud took place. We understand it all, and we're winning. We're absolutely winning. And the system is very stretched at the moment, and the system is it's trying all sorts of manner of evilness and wickedness to maintain its control, and it's not going to win. It's going to fail. And you're going to see illuminated souls all around the world popping up and taking back control. We are going to shine the light on this beast system, and it is a beast system. Look, they all wear black in the courts. They don't have no love for you. When was the last time a judge looked at you and said, I love you, man. You're my brother and sister? Or did they just scorn and treat you really wickedly and throw you in a cell without any contempt of your spirit, your soul, your energy? And that's what the system's attempting to do. It's attempting to take the soul and the spirit out of the world, okay, with its draconian lockdown measures. It is trying with the mask wearing, with the arrests, with you must do this, you must distance. My friend Vernon Coleman has just seen a woman parading her cat, taking it out for a walk, no, her dog, sorry, on a lead with a mask on. And listen, humanity might be fucked up right now and might not know what's going on, but don't put this on your animals, people. So he see a woman walking round her dog round a park. She had a mask on and the dog had a mask on. I just hope they don't get them swapped round, ladies and gentlemen. But she'd probably know it if she put the dog mask on. She'd be like, oh, this is a bit tidy in here. So, people, we do know how the system operates now. We now know how the aeroplane flies. We now know who's pulling the levers, how to press the accelerators. We how it all operates. Now, friends of mine locally, her husband has just been seen doing 36 in a 30, and Kent police are leaning on him like there's no tomorrow. We've just served them a very simple notice. Dear Mr. D. Curry, who's a fiction, we require within 14 days that you have addressed your notice to a Mr. So-and-so, but it applies to you. We need you to identify who you is, and we give you 7 days to do that. And it's so simple. Who is you? You can be singular, you can be plural, yours is many. They say your driving license. Well, who's yours driving? Yours driving license means everybody's driving license, right? It doesn't say Mr. So-and-so's driving license or the Christian, say David was seen doing 36 and a 30. No, it's a very clever use of language, but we see that now. We see it. It's all so open in full view. If I was in the judiciary right now and the judges and the law courts, I'd be sitting there thinking, wow, they're waking up. They're really starting to get this. And it's a separation of consciousness, ladies and gentlemen, that when you come into that higher state of awareness and you see it all for what it is a bit like the Matrix, where everything lines up at the end and there's no more fighting. Everything's cool as a cucumber. You just sat there reading a book. No, I just sit home here a bit like Neo and I just read a book. I've just sat here reading a book and all the agents can't touch me. All right. Now, this is the book that Neo is reading from in the film The Matrix. You remember that scene in The Matrix where he's all confused, all these lines on the computer screens, just all confusion. And all of a sudden they just line up. All the numbers and digits disappear and they all just line up. Pure sine wave. Because he starts reading from a book. And he sat there in his chair, cool as a cucumber, reading from a book. and the agents are fighting and going berserk, and they can't touch him, can't come near him. And then he gets on the top of that building and he just ascends, doesn't he? He goes upwards. And that's what consciousness is. That is a depiction of consciousness rising, your vibration rising. So much power, and you never win. My rose-coloured glasses are off now, and I see it for what it is. Look, I never created their system. I've been unwittingly participating in their system, but now I don't participate in their system, and I never will participate in their system again. And all I did was remove my consent. I just took my consent and my energy back. No, thank you. And it's as simple as that. Simple as that. Now, there was a couple of documents that you guys can file at your local courts. I'm just about to serve mine, probably Wednesday this week coming. I've now got the individual in the local court that I need to be dealing with. And they sent an email back saying to me, just address it to the court manager. And I returned an email saying, listen, court manager is a fiction and an estate. I need the man or the woman acting in the capacity of the court manager or the judge. I need the judges' names. I need whoever it is that's the man or the woman that I need. That I need to write to. Now, using the word I in our documents is not good. We need to be using the words we, ours, okay? Banking terms, a very powerful thing. Very, very powerful thing. So within 3 emails, I've got them to yield and to send me some individual's Christian name so that I can now serve them up. And I will, if they require me to, I will, if they kindly ask, pop down there and do it man to man, man to woman, whichever. Now, this is what we need to come back to, man to woman, woman to man. There's always a third-party agent involved in everything that we do in this life, isn't there? There's always an insurance company. There's always someone in the council. There's always a third party from the Nazi party wanting to diggle in and have a dig in our life, okay? And take part in our worldly affairs. And we've got to stop that. We've got to stop that. Lukey Allen, hello, gorgeous. I've got a hospital appointment later and I won't be wearing one. Yeah, I don't blame you. You're going to have trouble getting in there, to be fair, if you don't wear one. But it's all about control. It's all about them imposing their will on you. And I honestly think that most people in this country now are seeing this coronavirus thing for the hoax that it is. And I truly believe it is a hoax. In as much as it's a hoax with regards to a pandemic or an epidemic, because we're not seeing the numbers. I don't know anyone directly that has died from coronavirus. Now, if we did have an epidemic, pandemic, I'd know loads of people, and possibly myself would have died. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not stupid. If there truly was an epidemic, pandemic, and people were dropping like flies, I wouldn't be going out servicing people's boilers or doing plumbing bits. I went up to this old couple, elderly couple, you see, and this old boy, I tell you, had me eating out of his hands. He was such a gorgeous soul. And I changed some radiator valves and that, sat out, had teas and coffees with them. They're in their latter years. And he was saying, he said, well, I don't know anyone. He said, in the hospitals, he said, I'm taking my missus up the hospital later for an appointment. He said, they're empty. He said, the hospitals are empty. By the way, I'm going to read you something, okay? Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Try and stay awake. This is from Toby Lee. This has been sent out from someone quite high up in the medical fraternity that was going to put their name on the line, but decided not to, just for anonymity. Right, so it said, just received this from a friend, so I'm sharing. It's true that many hospitals have gagged their staff, hence the truth being slow to come out, but it will. Another anonymous statement from an A&E consultant in Surrey. No comments necessary, really. Note this. Staff only wear face coverings, mask and social distance when public facing. As soon as they are out of public view, the masks come off and social distancing is not observed. Indeed, jokes are made about these measures, and I have heard staff express amazement that despite warnings on packets and at point of sales telling people masks are totally ineffective and dangerous, the public still buy them because a politician told them to. I am a consultant at a major regional hospital in Surrey. By major, you can take that to indicate that we have an A&E department. I had agreed to give an interview to an anti-lockdown activist in which I would have revealed my identity. I have since changed my mind and only feel I am able to give an anonymous statement. I've changed my mind simply because that all staff, no matter what grade at all hospitals, have been warned that if any media interviews at all or any statements to either the mainstream press or smaller independent, hang on, I've just lost my independent press, social media, we may immediately be suspended without pay. That's the dichotomy. I have a family, dependents, and simply can't do that to them. That's the beast system. That's the devil's advocate, right? I therefore cannot reveal my identity at this time, but wish to state as follows. In my opinion, and that of many of my colleagues, there has been no COVID pandemic. Certainly not in the Surrey region, and I have heard from other colleagues this picture is the same throughout the country. Our hospital would normally expect to see around 350 outpatients a year. Around 95 patients are admitted to hospital in a normal year, and we would expect to see around a similar figure. Perhaps 100,000 patients pass through our A&E department in the months from March to June inclusive. We would normally expect to see 100,000 outpatients, around 30,000 patients admitted to hospital, and perhaps 30,000 pass through A&E. Why is that doing that? It's just shut off again. I think I'm pressing something. Hang on. Through A&E. This year, and these figures are almost impossible to get hold of, we have over 95% of those down in all those numbers. In effect, the hospitals have been pretty much empty for that entire period. Okay. Trevor makes a fantastic statement here. I'm going to put that one up. He says the NHS are under gagging orders, which is sick. This is government, right? And then Mussolini was asked years ago, what's the definition of fascism? And he said it's when government and industry work together to swindle the people, for a common goal. And that's exactly where we're at now. At the start, staff that questioned this were told that we were being used as redundant capacity, kept back from the dolge we were told would come. The deluge would, hang on. At the start, staff that questioned this were told that we were being used as redundant capacity, kept back from the deluge we were told would come. It never did come. And when staff began to question this, comments like for the greater good and to protect the NHS came down from above. Now it's just along the lines of shut up or you don't get paid. The few COVID cases that we have had get repeatedly tested, and every single test counted as a new case, meaning the figures reported back to ONS, PHE, Office of National Statistics and Public Health England, were almost exponentially inflated. It could be the case that COVID reported by hospitals are between 5 to 10 times higher than the real number of cases. Oh, why's that done that again? Real number of cases. Hang on. There has been no pandemic, and this goes a long way to explain why figures of the UK are so much higher than everywhere else in Europe. The Trust has been running empty ambulances during lockdown and is still doing it now. By this, I mean ambulances are driving around with their emergency alert systems active, sirens and lights on with no jobs to go to. This, I believe, has been to give the impression to the public that there is more demand for ambulances than there actually is. Staff only wear face coverings, masks and social distance when public facing. I might suggest that you print this off and take it to the hospital today and get them to read it before they make you wear a mask. The mask comes off and social distance is not observed. Indeed, jokes are being made about the measures, and I have heard staff express amazement that despite warning on packets and point sales telling people masks are totally ineffective and dangerous, the public still buy them because a politician has told them. Oh, hang on. Yeah. We have cancelled the vast majority of operations, and all those elective surgeries have been cancelled. Now, that's really dangerous. The surgery that have been pre-planned, waiting lists, non-elective surgery, this tends to be emergency surgery or that which is deemed urgent, has been severely curtailed. The outcome of this is simple. People are at best being denied basic medical care and at worst being left to die. In some cases, in much distress and pain. Can you imagine? Morning, Jesus Jones. Where can I find this? I'll give you a link in a minute. Regarding death certification, all staff that are responsible for this have been encouraged wherever possible to put COVID-19 complications as reason of death. Even though the patients may have been asymptomatic and also not even tested for COVID, I feel that this simply amounts to fraudulently completing death certificates that have been responsible for grossly inflating the numbers of COVID deaths. The fact is that regardless of what you actually die of in hospital, it's likely that COVID-19 will feature on the death certificate. I've included with this my statement that detailed published guidance from the government on death certification, which shows how COVID-19 as a factor is encouraged to at least feature on a death certificate. Remember, COVID-19 itself cannot kill. What kills is a complication of the virus, typically pneumonia-like symptoms, which is the same for the flu. And a large amount of death certificates issued in recent months, as long as COVID-19 appears on a death certificate, that death is counted as COVID-19 in the figures released by the ONS and PHE. I genuinely believe that many death certificates, especially among the older 65 demographic, have been fraudulently completed so as to be counted as COVID-19 deaths, when in reality COVID-19 complications did not cause the death. At last, we've got NHS staff speaking out. They had been told Thursday night when I stood alone in my office and cried as I heard people cheering and clapping outside. It sickens me to see all the thank you NHS signs up everywhere, and the stolen rainbow that from me now says one word and one word only: fear. There are many good people in the NHS, and while I do not plead forgiveness for myself, I do plead for them. Most are on low pay. They have joined for the right reasons, as I did, and have been bullied and threatened. If they do not stay on message, they don't eat. I know that if we could be found to assure staff within the NHS of safety against reprisals, there would be a tsunami of whistleblowers, which I have no doubt would help end this complete and brutal insanity. I am finding it increasingly hard to live with what I have been involved in, and I'm sorry that this has happened to end. I would simply say this: politicians haven't changed. This country has just made a fatal mistake and started trusting them without question. That is on my friend's profile page, Toby Lee, Tobylee, and you'll find it. It's only a few posts down, and he posted it 11 hours ago. Now, I know Toby Lee very well. Me and Toby have been muckers for 6-7 years. We help people with bailiffs, clamps off of cars through illegal detainment of bailiff companies. We've denied many bailiff companies with the things that people like me have been doing. Very, very interesting to see a bailiff's face stand there when he scratches his head when the thing that he clamped an hour before is no longer there. Quite funny. But I can't stand by it and watch these corporate thugs and bullies ruin the people of my country and rob their property. Remember, this is a land of common law jurisdiction where we all have the right to live a free life, where we all have the right to own property, you would assume. And there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is from someone very high up within the National Health Service. So basically, at the end of that, what he's saying is, if the oppression of threatening staff from the NHS hierarchy was lifted and staff wouldn't lose their jobs, can you imagine how many nurses in this country are on the breadline? Can you imagine how many nurses in this country go to food banks? We have a constabulary in Liverpool where 6 of their constables go to food banks. 6. My friend John Taylor had great delight in telling that to his chief constable who sat there a few years ago in a meeting that they have with the so-called public, wherever the public is, and was giving it the big one. And my friend said, do you know 6 of your officers, constables, whatever it is you want to call these fucking people because they're special, go to the food bank? I've seen them down there because John donates to the food bank. What John does and his team of people like that way, they go around collecting all the aluminium tin cans that people throw about, Coca-Cola tins, Vimto, Iron Brew, you name it. I think they get more money for the Iron Brew ones because they're made of girders. But they collect all the aluminium tin cans. What they do is they crush them down. They take them to the scrap people. They get some cash for them. And what they do, they go and buy food with it. And they take that food to the food banks, which is just an amazing... Listen, guys, I make no mistakes, right? There's a lot of bad things going on out there within the system and how the system treats us, the very thing it was sworn to protect. However, don't never let that dim your light, people, because we've got a lot of people out there that are shining so much light on their shit. It's just amazing. And John is an amazing guy, and fair play to him. But he sat there and he said, 6 of your constables I've witnessed coming to my local food bank. Now, when you consider that a constable earns about £26,000 a year, which is peanuts, and you look at the current living costs of rent and mortgages and council taxes and all that, I mean, council tax for me is a melanoma. There is no law in this land that says a man or a woman has to pay council tax. Not one. Their person does. Well, it is ascribed liabilities and duties, but not the man or the woman. And this is the fraud, the constructive fraud that they've had us involved in. And I'm hoping now that you're all starting to learn about the constructive fraud and the planned trespass with the birth certificate. We can't be slaves. We're not slaves. We're never going to be slaves. And we're certainly not coming from the darkness. So if the National Health Service, if the nurses and that weren't lent on and said, if you open your mouth, basically it's like putting a gun against someone's head and saying, speak out, we're going to drop you. You don't have to shoot people. You just take their liberty away. You take their earnings away. This is why I've always said that this monetary system is filthy lucre. It really is a filthy lucre system. It's not based on anything good. This is all about suppression. The banking industry is, for me, the devil's advocate. It is the white rabbit in the room. It is the thing that hinges everything, you know. So I'm someone that's very fortunate that I don't have to bow down to any employer, any employee. I am my own master in that respect. And I am respectful of the law, the common law, the rule of law. For sure I am. But with regards to all these acts and statutes, no, I'm not, because they're man-made law and they're impressing their will on us. And remember, everything that the German Fourth Reich did, they put through their parliament, and it was all legal, remember? All these wars, all the killing of the people, the concentration camps were all signed off through their parliament, and they was all enacted within their law system. And they know nothing different than what goes on in this country, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. It's very sad. It's very sad that we're here right now and we're witnessing all this. So if the NHS people could, and what I would suggest to anyone in the NHS is whistleblow anonymously. If enough of you do it, you'll make a difference. If you know there are fraud to be going on within the NHS and within the hospital system, it's your duty now to spread their messages. If you're not brave enough, get hold of me. I'll spread them for you. I live in no fear whatsoever. The only one I fear is my missus, to be fair, because she's got a fair old right hook on her. Oh, the postman's here. Oh, he's a lovely boy. I wonder if he's always wedging it in there. It must be quite a big parcel. Where's he leaving it? He's leaving it on top of the wall. Oh, he's a good boy. And I'm just watching him from his security cameras. Trevor, good. Yes, Dave, but you worked for it and you're not sat down, did nothing. I'm sorry for that. I wish I did it. It's just fallen in my lap, Trev, to be honest with you. It's been my path. I've not been premeditated in anything I've ever done. It's just my nature, my path, I guess. It's all gravy. I never think about what I'm doing. It's just el natural. It's like my armpits. They're all el natural. Ladies don't get hairy armpits. It don't really suit you. Actually, it does suit you, to be fair, because, oh, save your pits, save your growler. What's all that about? That's just you being stereotypical. You didn't come into the world like that. You come into the world naked and we all get offended. Oh, he's naked. Well, hang on. That's our natural state. Why'd you get offended about seeing a naked body? It's our natural state. I remember Dr. Sebi years ago kept having a dream of seeing an African woman standing naked in a forest. And he couldn't get, Dr. Sebi was amazing. And if you ever want to heal yourself, may I suggest you go and look up Dr. Sebi on YouTube and listen to his teachings, and you will amaze yourself. He was one articulate African man. And he stood in a Supreme Court in America, and he said to the judge, the judge tried to pull him apart, and he said, all disease is mucus-based. And that was a fact. And he walked out of that court a free man because he knew the truth. And the truth always prevails, and no judge could go against him. And Dr. Sebi kept seeing this black African woman standing naked in the forest, and he didn't understand what it meant. And then one day he did. And what he took from it was that she was as nature intended. Yes, she was as natural, stood there in her neutrality, as natural as she was stood there, yeah, all airy this, all airy that, but as nature intended her. Now, every time we shave our armpits, ladies, every time, ladies, we have a vajazzle, every time this is all stereotypical. This is something that you've been taken down a path of to make you think it makes you look more desirable or more pleasurable, and in fact, it doesn't. All these things that we do to our bodies, some people pump their lips up. They have all these, and I'm just thinking, just be yourself, people, because that's all ego. It's just so ego. It's, if you are happy in your natural state and someone else doesn't like you in your natural state, then obviously they're not the right individual for you. Your postman called Luke. Yeah, he's the same one as you got, Mikey. You know what I'm saying? Luke come round the house the other week when I was round having a cup of tea and a donut with you, and you said, oh, there's Luke. I said, oh, he's my postman. He's a lovely boy. He's a lovely boy. It's our natural state, but we've been genetically altered. They took away our fur. Exactly. The native Indians used to have long hair. Actually, when Western man come across the native Indians, they documented what they were like, and they said that these native Indians were almost 7 foot tall, could run like the wind, and was something like they've never seen before. They were just a different race, different breed. And they used to keep their hair long because they said that they could feel vibrations of people or whatever it was coming towards them, and they could sense things from their long hair, a bit like Samson and Delilah. Luke Skywalker. Your postman called Luke? He is, yeah, he is. So, peeps, I thought I'd bring that one to you this morning. Might have a little bit more of the devil's advocate. Let's Let's go back. Devil in the flesh. Let's have a look about the devil in the... Actually, let's go back this way. Quite like look at that one. Da, 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 da. Let's just get to the end of this and then I'll come and share it with you. If my machine starts to play out, I need to share the screen again. We're going to do it this way now. We're going to do it this way now because this is how we're rolling. Just bear with me. We've done that one. We've done that one. Let's see what this one does. Let's just open him up.
You were right about one thing, Kevin. I have been watching. Couldn't help myself. Watching. Waiting. Holding my breath. But I'm no puppeteer, Kevin. I don't make things happen. Doesn't work like that.
What did you do to Marianne?
Free will. It's like butterfly wings. Once touched, they never get off the ground. No. I only set the stage. You pull your own strings.
What did you do to Marianne?
A gun? In here? God damn it! What did you do to my wife? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most depraved act of sexual theater known to man, 1 being your average Friday night run-through at the Lomax's household, I'd say, not to be immodest, Marianne and I got it on at about 11. Fuck you! Got me! Got me! Yes! Wow! Oh, yeah! Yeah! Step on up, son! Come on, that's good! You gotta hold on to that fury!
See what's going on there? This is what happens with the system, and you should pay attention to this. Is because Al Pacino is picking a spoil with Kevin, and he's using all these dark emotions to rise him, and it just worked. And that's why Al Pacino's now having an orgasm that he's got to Kevin. Okay, this is really powerful, ladies and gentlemen. This is an area that you never really want to go to. Okay, you have to deny them emotions. As hard as it is, deny them. I tell you, this is powerful.
Sorry. That's the last thing to go. That's the final hiding place. It's the final fig leaf. Who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Never lost a case. Why? Why do you think? Because you're so fucking good. Yeah?
Ego. That's all about the ego. What Al Pacino's doing right here, right now, is all about the ego. This is the devil's advocate decoded. This is what Al Pacino's doing. He's basically telling Kevin who he is inwardly. Never lost a case because you're so fucking good. Is about his ego. He's riding his ego.
But why?
My father.
I'm a little more than that, Kevin. Awfully hot in that courtroom, wasn't it? What's the game plan, Kevin? Was a nice run, Kev. Had to close out someday. Nobody wins them all.
What are you?
Oh, I have so many names.
Huh.
Call me Dad.
Call me Dad. Yeah, so seen that film. Honestly, go and watch it. It is everything that the system does. It rises your ego. Every letter they send you, you think it's addressed to you. It's not, but your ego you can't see past the theatre. You can't see past it. You think all this stuff that they're writing to you is all about you. It's not. It's about their own creation. The Mr. title is all it's their own creation. He who creates controls. It's a satanic system. But because our egos kick in, my family, your families will go, no, you're talking nonsense. Why? Because their egos have ridden them. They can't see through the veil. And maybe they at some point they will do. I think they're going to. I really do think that the veil is being pulled off this matrix, the dark satanic system right now. So the best trick the devil ever played was convincing this world he doesn't exist. Yeah, it was. But he got Kevin to shoot him then, and he was getting excited of it because that's what the dark side does. It gets you emotional. It gets you roaring with your families. It gets you picking spoils with your friends. It gets you arguing over who owns this, who don't own this, who owns that bit of land, who owns that car. It's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. But once you come into a place where you don't let that rise you and you see through it, then the world's a different place, ladies and gentlemen. The Masonic black and white tiles. Yeah, see, look, you're all seeing it, man. You're all seeing it. And that's the beauty of it now, isn't it? We're all seeing the dark system for what it is. And we're going to send it back to hell, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you. That's what I'm here for. I'm here with you lot to bring an end to this dark satanic cabal. And we will win. We are winning every single day. Peeps, I love you all. I'm going to go and do some stuff. We're just coming up to an hour, 4 minutes. And it goes so quick on here. I love all my intercoursing with you, lovely lot. You're all amazing people. And when I genuinely say I do love you, I do. I just have love in my heart for everybody. It's not a gooey love. It's not like I want to come and sleep with you or snog you. It's just reverence and respect for you all. And I really do have that. And I just wish the system had a reverence and respect for mankind. We're going down a very dangerous path right now. But it will change. And it is changing. All the time, every single day. So be careful of the spells that you cast. Be careful of the letters that come your way. Make sure you pay finite attention to the very small words that they're using. Pay no attention to the big, long words that these corporations write to you with. It's the very small words like you and stuff like that you really want to focus on and get point of clarity on. And when you do that, you're exposing the darkness and they can't move against you. They're really not allowed to. And I found that out in 2013 when I walked through the fire with HMRCT courts. You're going to prison. There's an arrest warrant. And I rang them up and, excuse my French, I told them to fuck off. I said, don't play with me. I'm not of your property. I said, I belong to God Almighty. And they just went away. No one's ever been round. Nobody's ever been round. Why? Because I pulled back the veil. And they don't like it. Well, we're looking for a Mr. So-and-so. Well, he's dead. Well, how long's he been dead? Hasn't he always been? Piece of paper's dead, right? It's not living, is it? So I'll leave you with that, guys. You can tenderly make your own conclusions and all that of everything that we talk about and stuff. But I know that in my heart, I'm on point. I know that if people wish to tune into the stuff that we talk about, they will do. But free will is beautiful. And if it's not people's free will, that's up to them. God give you free will, ladies and gentlemen. And it is a bit of a it is a bit of a dichotomy, free will, because your free will can get you great things, but it can also bring bad things your way as well. All right. So just be mindful of the world that you're living in. Be mindful of what you're signing. Listen, I'm dealing with a couple locally at the moment, and Kent police are writing to them. And I've said, listen, all the time you just keep returning that stuff and you don't sign, they can't move on you. No matter what you're saying, the minute you don't sign their documents, they can't move on you. Now, a friend of mine was in the Old Bailey quite a few years ago, about 3 years ago. Ray, he lives in Bexley Village. He went to the Old Bailey because that's where the Metropolitan Police wanted to take him. And he went and presented his son. Now, his son's got dyslexia. He can't tell the difference between the tobacconist and the tobogganist. So Ray was there helping his son out. And this female judge, this lady judge, sat up upon high, because they all like to sit up on high. And the CPS were there and the police were there, and he'd gone through a 30-mile-an-hour speed control limit regulation. It's not law, by the way. Well over 80, and it was gone. And so he wouldn't fill in none of their paperwork because Ray's quite switched on, and they got frustrated and they said, right, we're going to go to court. So the Metropolitan Police took my friend Ray's son in Bexley to court, and it ends up at the Old Bailey. How it ever ended up there, I don't know, but he was there. And Ray was stood there, and he said to the lady judge, look, my son's got dyslexia. He's not very confident. I'm going to deal with this today. She said, yeah, fine, no problem. So she sat there up on high. She's a god, and all her little minions are angels, apparently. I don't know who they're working for. Maybe Lucifer. And well, they all wear black. They don't wear... Listen, you should go to the courts. They should all be wearing white, right? They should all be wearing the light illumination. They don't wear black. Black's the dead. You'll go to funerals. Oh, you've been so lovely, my Uncle Ronald. Look, yeah, they're all wearing black. They're all mourning. This ain't no different in a courtroom. We should be doing Kenny Everett. Li-la-li-lo. We should all be wearing bright colours in these courts. We should all have white on. We should all be illuminated, yeah? But no. Anyway, CPS, the judge said to CPS, right, do you want to start? And they said, on such and such and such. And Ray went, excuse me. And the woman judge went, yeah, what's up? Nah, it's a load of nonsense. I've got the paperwork chronologically ordered here. She said, you got all that? He said, yeah. So little clerk come over, ushered it up to this judge, sat up on high, this little godly figure. And this is what this Mason said to me the other night, AJ from Hollywood. He said, the judge, when she puts her robe on, or he puts his robe on, is God. Don't know which one. And all the prosecutors and solicitors are all the little angels, guardian angels. I ain't fucking seeing that, ladies and gentlemen. I am not fucking seeing that, and I'm certainly not having that. So anyway, Ray passed up these chronological stuff that had come through from the police. And because this lad hadn't signed anything, given it his earthly energy, she threw it out. She went to the lad, you're free to go. She turned to the CPS and to the police, said, what the Kinnells is doing it in my courtroom? There is no consent here. Because even if you've got a driver license, they still need to go the extra mile. They still need you, when they send you through their paperwork, they still need you to open it up, offer it, consider it, and accept it, and sign it. Because everything's a contract. Offer, consideration, and acceptance, okay? You don't sign it, you just send it back, return to sender, no thank you, no contract, no agreement, no this, that, the other. They might send you all these things for, oh, we're going to go and get a prosecution, but probably ain't going to happen because they've got no consent from you to do that, because they need your consent to dip into your trust estate. When the police write to you, Mr. D. Curry from Kent Police, when he writes to you, when you get a speeding thing, you'll always see Mr. D. Curry. Mr. D. Curry's a fiction. When you always see that come through, he's always writing to you with this big feeling that they've got this big power over you. You must sign this. You must fill this form out. What they're saying is, we need your signature on this bit of paper so we can access your trust. That's exactly what they're doing. May God strike me down if I'm telling a lie. Right? They need your consent. They need you to sign their papers, because without it, they have no authority. Okay? So if you don't sign the seal and just return to sender, driver is still a creditor. Exactly. So don't fill out their paperwork. Don't sign nothing. And I'll show you how to, if you're going to write things, and rather than use a signature, by, semicolon. So by, semicolon, which is a dot and a little comma on the bottom, semicolon, put your name. That's an autograph. There's a massive, don't go up to an actor and say, excuse me, can I have your signature? You're signing nature. You go up and say, Brad Pitt, can I have your autograph, please? You go, yeah, mate, no worries. Look at Angelina over there, looking sexy without her boobs. And I said that out loud. I don't care no more. How do I access my trust? Right, so how you access the trust is you do an ecclesiastical deed poll and an evidence of life, form 206. You then serve them on your local courts, and that corrects your status and standing. All right. So we went through the SKV. I'll see if I can find it again. And I want to talk to you about the SKV. Excuse me. Oh, hang on. Actually, you can't see my, we'll do this together. We'll do this together so you can all see, right? So you can see my screen there. So we've got a new tab. Hopefully the porn channels won't pop up. Right, so we'll do 1666 Act. And remember, 666 is the mark of man, right? So that's why this SKV Act is very important, okay? Because if you take this one off, you're left with 666. Now, 6 parts proton, 6 parts neutron, 6 part electron is the makeup of carbon on the periodic table. And we are made of carbon. So that is man. So 1666, something happened. We had the fire of London. And everyone was declared lost at sea, dead lost at sea. That's why young boys are addressed as master up until the age of 7. And so when you do an ecclesiastical deed poll, and we're going to talk about this thing here, all right? So you do an ecclesiastical deed poll and evidence of life. Your evidence of life form, your 206, I can email this all to you if you want. You either go to a doctor and get him to put his seal down. And I've just had a lady friend in Birmingham do this, and a doctor did it free of charge. Was going to try and charge her, and she said, "Are you operating outside the trust?" He fucking sealed it all up. It's really quite funny when you get involved into the nuts and bolts and the inner workings of all of this. So this crown here is the second coming of Christ, right? That's what this represents. It don't represent Queen Elizabeth. It doesn't represent King Charles I, no more than it does Elizabeth I. This represents the second coming of Christ, okay? This is all in trust. This all beneath is entrusted to this, okay? That's what the lion and the unicorn is. Mythological creature, and we know what the lion stands for. So it says in this, now you know that your kids are all addressed as master, boys are addressed as master up until the age of 7, okay? So it says in here, if you return again from beyond the seas, or proof of life in any actions be brought for recovery the same to be made appear. So what it's saying here is that the title must be revested, okay? So it says here, which since the time of the said eviction, blah, 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 recover for damages for the full profits of said land or tenements with interest. So basically what that's saying is once you've proved you're alive, the titles have to be revested, all right? Now, titles are a bit of a dangerous thing. You don't want to be a mister or anything like that. You really don't, because titles, we're warned about titles in the Bible, okay? They just... Titles are the ego of man. That's all they are. They're just people, doctors, lawyers, mayors. They're just egos. They're all wrapped up in their egos. Bless them. So what has to happen? You prove you're alive, the title gets revested. So you do an evidence of life on 206. You get it sworn by a commissioner of oaths, solicitors for about 5 or 6 quid, or you get your doctor to seal it up, and then you do an ecclesiastical deed poll. The ecclesiastical deed poll is so simple to do, and then you just file them at your courts, and it goes on your master file, and then you're back to the land of the living. No man or woman in this realm can then administer your estate anymore, and it's as simple as that. That's how you do it. Would you send those documents to me? Yeah. As many of you have got my Facebook profile, if you have got me on Facebook, if you haven't, please do. It's Dave Witcher. You'll see my profile picture. I'll show you my profile picture. 2 seconds. Da, 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 da. Let me show you my profile picture. So, Dave Witcher, this is my profile picture, which is Ephesians Ephesians is talking about putting the armor of righteousness on, the breastplate, the loincloth. Yeah, that's mine. Helmet of salvation, the shield of faith, the belt of truth, the plate of righteousness. That's what I love, man. I mean, I'm really into this stuff. Really, really. So that's my profile. If you want to just find me on Facebook, drop me. You don't have Facebook, right? Okay, I'll drop you guys my email in the comment box. All right. I have no problem. I hide from no man. There's my email address there for you guys, and I will send you over the information that you need. And this is how we come back to land of living, because they're only administrating a trust. The police are only administrating a trust, and they're doing it with consent as well, guys. Because don't forget, you signed the driver license, you signed all the DVLA stuff. They're not doing nothing that you didn't give them consent to. You have to understand that. You give them consent to do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, flood my inbox. I'll get back to you all as I can, and I will just keep pestering me, and I will send you through the templates for the ecclesiastical deed poll and evidence of life. And you just need to print off the copy of the SESKV, okay, which is this one. This is it's actually pronounced Sedekay, okay? It's a Sedekay trust. 1666. Now, the birth certificate itself is a bond, all right? And if you really want to play hardball and people write to you from the system, what you might want to do and wish to do, because only men can wish, is to get them to just address the bond number. So rather than use the name, which was God-given by your parents, your Christian names, get them to use the bond number. So what you'll find is they will then be writing to the bond number at where you live, so that there's no misunderstanding of the bond that they're operating on, okay? Because the government can only operate on the bond that created. So rather than give your name, use the bond number. Now, the bond number is in the birth certificate, and that's what I do. I write back with respect for clarity and confirmation. We will no longer be using my God-given name, but we will be using the bond number for any and all future correspondences. And if ever I find anyone operating in that trust without authority, I will require your bond number so I can make a claim on that estate. They fucking run. They just run. Just tell them you want their bond number. Anyone's coming at you in any government capacity, right? I don't care who it is. The Lord Chancellor, just a title. He's just a man or woman. Get their bond number. So I require your birth certificate bond number so I may make a claim against that estate should you continue to trespass. David Willson, I just got your email. I'll respond to you a little bit later, bro. It's so powerful, people, and this is the beautiful part of us shining a light on the darkness. Anyway, I've been on here a little bit longer than I anticipated this morning. Love you all, guys. Remember, you're with me on my journey. I'm with you on your journeys. Where we go one, we go all. We will go together. We are going to rise from the dead. We're not zombies. And just watch this all play out, ladies and gentlemen, because I think this show is just starting. Honestly, don't use their name. I require of you your birth certificate bond number that I may wish to make a claim on that estate and trust. Oh, watch them run. Watch them run. They know they're in trouble then. They know they're in trouble. That just come to me. But yeah, it's a bond number. So the name on it is an irrelevance. It's the bond number that's the securitized instrument on that birth certificate, because the birth certificate is a securitized instrument. Now, a friend of mine sat at the Royal Courts of Justice, the Chancery, and pushed the birth certificate in front of two barristers, two Clips barristers. And they both looked at each other and went, uh-oh, where are they going with this? And my lady friend, Lisa, said, this is a bond, right? And they said, yeah, it is, yeah. And they said, we can discharge any debt against this, can't we? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course you can. So knowing how to discharge that is the bond number. It's not the name. It's not the name. Because the name on the certificate, there's there's confusion because you've got your mum and your dad down there, right? You want to discharge anything, you just discharge it against the bond number because that's the bond number that's floating on the stock market, not the name. The name's irrelevant. Powerful, right? Powerful. Anyway, I love you all. Mikey, you might hear me shouting around the golf course later because I'm probably going to have a little walk around there later and swing the bat. Thanks for the sanity. Karen Campbell, I love you, darling. I love your profile picture. Listen, it just makes me giggle. Look at this orangutan. Look. How cute is that orangutan, man? That's so cute. That's probably the best profile picture I've ever seen. So maybe getting imaginative with your profile pictures. Maybe put some pictures out of Laura and I. Come up here. We've got to lighten this world up. We've got to have some laughs and tickles back, right? And some good times, yeah? Because everyone gets so damn depressed of where the system comes here. But in reality, the remedy is so simple. They're only acting on an estate and a trust. You give them the bond number and say, go and crack on. Rock on. Have that. Boom. Anyway, Karen, look after yourself, darling. Good luck with hospital this afternoon. Yes, go to Toby Lee's page, print off that thing, and just give it to him and say you are going against my will and my wish, and you are arbitrarily depriving me of my rights. They won't make you put a mask on. Remember them words. Love you all. Take care and enjoy yourselves. Love you all, mate.